Good morning, everybody. Danny Wanda back from Pecan Grove. Out here, sun hadn't come up yet. We always like to get out here before the sun comes up. The plants are still nice and cool and damp feeling, and we always try to get all of our vegetables done before the sun ever hits them, and that way they hold up tremendously better than what they usually would. If you don't want to come out here once the sun's done hit everything and got hot and dry. You don't want to pick then, because if you do, your produce, I mean, you look at this, your produce will get all limp and wimpy and stuff like that. You don't want to do that. And then, I mean, look at these plants. We have picked these, what is it, this makes 12 times I think we've picked them.
Pretty much, I lost count.
And as we go through, now most people don't understand this about plants. As we go through, you see these old leaves on the top right here? We just go through, when we're picking beans, we take the leaves off, these old leaves. And what that does is that signals to the plant that it needs to make new leaves. And you don't want to leave your beans on until they start getting seeds in them, because if you do that, then what happens is the plant goes, oh, we've got seeds now, let's quit making beans. Well, this is the 12th time we've picked, and you look at them, they're still blooming, and they're putting on brand new leaves, new beans are all over them. And guys, these shouldn't even be growing right now, because we're into the 100 and something degree heat indexes out here. And it is the middle of June. Today is the, get that where I can see it, 12th of June. So by all standards, these should be gone. They should be over with. And I don't care how well you pick them, you'll look back and you'll see one sticking up, like right down here. I just walked past and saw another one sitting right there. We fertilize them once every 2 weeks, and we just use a well-balanced fertilizer like a 10-10-10 or 13-13-13, something like that. Come in here and put it to it, and I see a bean well beyond. But now let me say this: we do not spray anything. It is absolutely not necessary. Lots of people go, oh, we spray organic stuff. And I guess, having been in certain industries, I'm surprised at how many people just take a company's word because they say, oh, it's organic. And they just go out there and start dousing their stuff with it, believing that this company is 100% legitimate in what they said. Like BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, they go, oh, that's perfectly harmless to the human body, and it kills the soft-bodied insects. Well, if you go back and look at human trials in that, your gut is a soft-bodied thing inside your body. When they split BT and put it in with genetically modified corn, the BT in the corn, when the worms started eating the tops of it, they would eat the corn and it would kill them, which means the BT is in the corn. And when you eat the corn, people end up with leaky gut syndrome. They end up with all kind of gastrointestinal issues and stuff like that. And they go, but it's safe in so many parts per billion. And that may be perfectly true. But who knows how many parts per billion you've put into your body when you're coming out here dousing things like BT and spinosad and all this stuff all over your stuff. It's totally not necessary to do. What is beneficial is things like companion planting. Lots of people, I tell you this, I'm pretty sure if you pull our plants back here, you see what else we use down in there? You see that down yonder?
Hills Mill Homestead Copper.
Electroculture. We do every other pot because that's supposed to take care of about a 30-inch radius. And I'm pretty sure if you come over here, I'll pull this one back. There's one stuck down in there. You go to every other pot we got on this place right here, and there is electroculture in it. And a lot of people don't believe it. I don't care if you believe it or not. I've used it for 30-something years, over 30 years. I know it works. So I don't.
And so now we have 55
quarts, 15 pints of Cherokee yellow wax beans. We have given away, I don't know how many gallon bags we've given away. We have 8 fresh, almost 3 times a week.
for a month.
For over a month now. So I don't know if you added it all together. I don't know how many quarts it would actually end up being. I just know what we've canned.
And they're still going.
And they ain't quit. Look at this. By pulling them leaves off, when you pull these bad leaves off, that signals to the plant that it's in stress and it starts reproducing again. I mean, you look at down in the middle right here where we walk. Look at all the leaves you see in here. We just leave all this stuff on the ground. Now, some people couldn't handle it. They'd have to be in here cleaning it up. Wanda and I don't care about it because it's going to just die.
It'll get cleaned up when we get through.
When we finish, we'll clean it all up. But until then,
this is an everyday thing.
Every day, when we come out here to water, if it hasn't rained, and we come out here to water, like yesterday evening I was watering, I was walking along with a water hose doing this right here. Pulling that off the top. Oh, there's one right there. Get that one off. You know, I was just constantly. Now the beans, everybody goes, but look at how they look. They look horrible. Well, you'll notice some pots have nothing in them, and some pots have spaces in them. As I'm picking and I'm watering, if I see a plant that has reached its potential and it no longer is beneficial to be in that pot, I pull it up and it goes in that compost right over there. And I don't worry about it, you know. Now the leaves falling on this plastic mat down here, we don't worry about it because what's going to happen when we take all these plants out of here, we're going to go and compost them. I have another compost pile. It won't go into this one, but I have another compost pile. They will go into that compost pile. We will take a yard rake and come through here and all these dead, shriveled up, dried leaves. If there happens to be a virus, it's right here and it has done died and since gone. We'll rake all that stuff up and we'll take it and put it in the compost pile and we'll let it be breaking down. So, lots of people watch us with our Cherokee yellow wax beans. Now, you notice I'm having them, they're in landscape pots. Lots of people ask about the pots. This is a 25-gallon landscape pot. Right next to it is a cattle mineral tub or a protein tub. We have learned we put the right soil mixture in this. I can control this area right here so well with the pH, with fertilization. I can look at each plant. There's like 3 plants or 4 plants in each pot. I can look at the plants in that pot and I go, oh, that pot is lacking in some phosphorus. And it won't never be nitrogen because these beans are nitrogen fixers. So I'll look at it and go either potassium, phosphorus, pH. If something doesn't look right about the plant, I'll go, let me check the pH right quick. And if I check the pH and it's off, I keep a stash of fireplace ashes. And I'll come sprinkle a little fireplace ash around in it. And that puts the potassium and phosphorus and alkalinizes the soil back. And usually within 2 days, they're back up going again. And I don't have to bend over. That's the main thing that I love about this. We have several people comment and saying, I can't believe you're picking those plants and it raining. You're going to transfer the rust virus. I was always told don't do that. Well, let me put it to you this way. If you got the rust virus, it don't matter if you transfer it or not. The rain and the spores will transfer themselves. It has nothing to do with you. Now, yeah, you might drag a little along with you, but trust me, if you've got that issue, it's going to spread whether you go out there and do anything or not. And we come in here like, I pull these, when you see big old leaves like that right there, you see all that necrosis and all that taking place, just get that off of there. Because as soon as you take that off, if you see one like that, got a little bit of insect damage, take it off. The plant will regrow new leaves rather quickly. That way, these old leaves, they serve absolutely no benefit to that plant whatsoever. One of the reasons that we do this is from experience. We had Cherokee yellow wax beans one time planted down here where the peach tree orchard is right now, and it rained and rained and rained, and the plants were little, and me and Wanda said they're not going to do anything. So one day Wanda went down there. The leaves were covered up in rust virus all the way down the whole row. There were 2 rows of them, and she went through there and took her hands and stripped every leaf off of them. She says, we got nothing to lose. They're not going to make. And when she stripped all the leaves off of them, those plants came back once that rain quit and started putting on new leaves, started blooming, and we picked Cherokee yellow wax beans and picked them and picked them and picked them. And now that's why we know when we're going through here in the mornings, out here working with our plants, when we see these leaves, we don't worry about it. Everybody goes, well, you're taking the leaves off your plants. It doesn't matter. See all these stems sticking up here? It looks like we're a deer. Another thing is we learned, because when the deer used to come through and graze the tops off of all of our stuff, the plants would come right back out and they'd make again. And that's when we learned, we're like, hey, if we prune them leaves off, it's not going to hurt anything. They're going to come back with a vengeance because they want to survive. So a few tips that we use, you know, when it comes to doing stuff like this. Not telling you got to do it, just telling you it's what works for us here in the Deep South. Thank you guys from Pecan Grove.